Hello, everybody. Welcome, well, at least in this version to 2025. Obviously, we met last week as a group, and John Gambo was with us. I was just on a meeting with John, so he's doing his thing. So you've got me flying solo uh, today, which hopefully that's okay with you. Ken, if you can give me the thumbs up that we are broadcasting live across all of our channels: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. What am I forgetting, Ken? I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. This was interesting because today I was going from one meeting to another. It reminded me of my TV days, where we're going live. We're going live whether I like it or not, whether I'm ready or not. And so we went live here, and Ken, who's a key member of my team in my life, made sure that our systems were ready to go. And I was able to stop in or hop in to this chair here and get going. So wherever you are, if you have the time, feel free to say hi in the chat. If you're joining via LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, pop in, say what's up. This is a group, of entrepreneurs and founders in the education space, but then we also have lots of other people who are joining and popping in who are simply entrepreneurs and founders, which is fine as well. So please, Ken, if we see anybody out there who is saying hello, have them make sure that you catch my attention, Ken, as you always do. So I thought that I would kind of start this conversation a little bit on a low. One of the things that I have heard in my head, for better or for worse, over the last week or two, is that Long December song by the Counting Crows. And Ken's a kid, so I don't know if he knows the Counting Crows, but I have a good buddy named Thomas, one of my best buddies, who can't stand the Counting Crows. So I always love the opportunity to talk about the Counting Crows. And the song talks about the long December. And I got to tell you guys, I don't know about for you, but it was a long December. And I don't know if you guys have been following me on Instagram or wherever, but I certainly had the good fortune of traveling. My family and I left, and we were in DC for Thanksgiving. Then we went to Rome and Florence and Paris and Istanbul, back to DC, then to Mexico City. So I have nothing to complain about when it comes to being able to travel and see the world. But I'm not sure if I handled myself as well as I could have during the long December. And the long December for us, entrepreneurs and founders in the education space, is that it's going to be very, very quiet. And quiet is tough. And I've been through this, and I prepare myself, but then I was still unprepared for what I was going to experience, which was that quiet. And Ken and our team is telling me, hey, just focus on the business, get ready. And, I didn't necessarily do what I was supposed to do. And so it was kind of mentally, it was a tough couple of weeks for me. And so I just thought that I would bring that up to everybody who, might have been experiencing that as well. Maybe you had a long December, and you do your best to, focus on your family and be grateful for what you have. But you're also thinking about your business and wondering, hey, this quiet is going to end, right? And then the beautiful thing is the calendar turns, and man, oh man, does that long December turn into a joyful January? Because I have had the opportunity over the last 2 or 3 weeks to meet with so many wonderful entrepreneurs and founders and CEOs in the education space. And all of them, are really ready to embrace the Ed Sales Elevation experience, and really want to grow their business. And so it was a tough December, and January has started off really wonderfully, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm also, taking a step back, kind of looking at my health a little bit, and how I can better prepare myself as a founder. So I don't know if any of you guys experienced that as well over December, where that you should be taking time off, that you should be relaxing, but you also feel the weight of your business. And I'm hoping that you're also experiencing the same thing in January. So we're going to talk about a lot of different things today in the 22 minutes that we have. And we're going to get to slow burn methods because that's what is the topic really right now that we're focused on. But I want to continue with this thread here. So December down, January jumping, low to high. And we all know not to have your lows too low and your highs too high. And I was on a walk a couple days ago through our neighborhood here in Mexico. And I was talking to John about that. But I've been on a high, right? Having some great conversations, super inspired by what's going on in our community and around, the founders that we have who are building their businesses and the ones that we're getting to know. And then, man, oh man, I've always experienced this and it continues to happen. I'm sure you guys have this as well. You can go from the penthouse to the outhouse when you are running a business in a matter of seconds. And guess what? It happened to me today. And it's funny, like this used to happen, for example, in my second business, my after school enrichment business, I'd be talking to a huge school district, and I'd be talking to that school district, and, we're planning out this amazing program, and we're talking big money and big impact on these kids and big things for my business and their school district. We get off that call and I sit back and I think, this is great. And then my phone rings and, it's 3:30. And that time from like 3 to 4 to 5, when you run an after school enrichment business, is always treacherous. So I'll get off a call with an amazing big superintendent and their school district. The next thing you know, I've got a call from a provider who isn't showing up. And then the next thing you know, I've got an angry front office staff who that provider's not showing up. And then I got an angry principal. Then I got an angry PTA president. And I got upset kids. And you can really go from the penthouse to the outhouse. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that in your business, but drop it into the chat if you have. It'll make me feel a little bit better as I begin to tell you this story, which at the end of the day is not a big deal. But it happens, right? So flying, January, having some great conversations, building out a great conference schedule, opportunities to speak. And we're changing some systems inside of our business. And changes takes time. Sometimes it's never easy. And we have a phenomenal team, and everybody's doing their best, and we're all over the world. And today an email went out, and if you got it and you're listening here, an email went out, and one of our members of our team, I guess she accidentally just kept her name in the dear ... So instead of it saying Dear Ernie or Dear Ken or Dear Bonnie, if my mom, which she probably receives my emails, it said Dear Tash. And I'm in the middle of I had 4 meetings this morning that were fantastic. I'm so locked in, and I turn off all my notifications. And I see this email come through from us to me that says, "Hey, Tash." And I'm like, oh, no. No, 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 no. And I feel this. Yep, I'm feeling that. And I'm thinking, oh, but maybe it's just maybe it's a me thing. But then Ernie, who's a member of our community, a dear friend, sends me an email. He's like, "Who's Tash?" I'm like, oh man, our bad. And so we made a little mistake. You know, when I started my first business in 2008, I was kind of a bull in a china shop. And if you can believe it, like a 5'5" bull in a china shop. And now, hey, we made a mistake. You know, and the best thing to do is to admit to it. And most people probably just look past it, right? But it all comes down to systems. And we're improving our systems, absolutely improving our systems. Just so exciting. And I know Ken has been, drinking champagne over there in the Philippines for a few days now because we unhooked from one of the systems we were using, and now we're using a different system. And then there was a little mistake, so everybody was called Tash. So if you guys got stories of upgrading your systems and then having kind of, mistakes happen, share with the group so we all feel a little better about it. I'm going to put up here our QR code, which is an opportunity for you to join our network, our community. We've got a wonderful community of entrepreneurs and founders in the education space over, I don't know, Ken, put the number in there because I forgot at this point, but we've had 103 companies go through the Ed Sales Elevation Experience in the last 13, 14 months. And what's so amazing about this group is they are all awesome people. Every single one of them I would have at least a beer with, and several of them, many of them would have and have had many beers with. So long and the short is join our community here. The QR code is there. We'll welcome you in, and make sure that we can help you out. And how can we help you out? Well, first of all, hopefully you can relate to my long December. I'm hoping you can relate to my joyful January. You can probably relate to going from the penthouse to the outhouse. We had a little mistake this morning. We've all been there and done that when we sent out emails. And now we're going to talk about slow burn methods. Okay. So let me define slow burn methods. John and I talked about this a little bit last week, but we're going to go back over it. Slow burn methods are those strategies that require a significant investment of your time, of your resources, and sometimes it takes a while to get a return on that investment. So it's like planting a seed that eventually grows, kind of like into a mighty oak tree, maybe, but it takes time and patience and consistent nurturing. Those are the slow burn methods. And what we have found by listening to people is that a lot of our clients and people in our community are experiencing the slow burn methods. And what I mean by that is They're trying to leverage these slow burn methods, but they're not getting the ROI. And a lot of the companies we work with, they need to, yes, plant, but also hunt, because they need leads now. They need traction now. And there is not a better time of year in the education space to be hunting. When I mean hunting, I mean your ideal client, quality messaging, being really able to help folks in the education space achieve the goals that they need. Because if you think about the seasonality of our businesses, from basically January to February, you need to be kind of nurturing, looking out, building relationships. February, March, you got to be having really good conversations, explaining the benefits. March, April, May, contracts. May and June, close those contracts. June and July, you got to be preparing for a phenomenal launch in the fall. September into October, you got to just be doing a phenomenal job in that launch. And then you might be able to pick your head back up in October and really pick up some schools in January. But if you don't do that work now, then you will be right back there in November of 2025 having lost a year, which is a really unfortunate thing. So a lot of these slow burn methods that people are doing, they start in January. These habits kick back up in January. One of them, conferences. I love conferences at this point. What I find is that a lot of people will pay a lot of money to go to a conference. They'll spend a lot of time getting ready for a conference. They'll buy a booth. They'll do all this research. They'll get there. They'll put heads down, at that conference. Then they get back and they've got all these business cards. They do all this follow-up, and then everybody has forgotten about you. And that's a burn, baby. That's a burn. So that's not good. So it's nothing against the conference. It's really kind of the approach. Let's put that aside. We got social media. Okay. And specifically LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is a fantastic place. There's conversations happening all around you in LinkedIn that you could be a part of. Certainly you could be a part of. You could lead. And you spend a lot of time posting and you spend a lot of time thinking, but if the messaging isn't right, then that will become a burn. We're going to swing back to that. SEO. SEO is another one I hear. And I talk to companies in education. They say, we're doing SEO. We're doing SEO. Really? And SEO can be expensive. Now, I'm not saying SEO is the wrong thing to do. But if you haven't really thought through your ideal client, if you haven't really positioned yourself with credibility so that when people do look you up, they're interested in learning more. If you haven't really thought through your signature solution and really can clearly show people how you can help them, superintendents, principals, PTA presidents, whatever, then I'm not sure SEO is the way to go yet. That's a burn. Blogging, great one. Oh man, people tell me, I blog all the time. I write these 1,000-word articles. Really, where do you get the topics? Oh, I know exactly what to write about. Huh. Well, the thing is that if you're just writing because you think you know what to write about, I'm not sure if your topics are on point. And you're not sure if your topics are on point. Unless you really run a process like our Raise Your Hand campaign where you're connecting the dots, where you're listening. The Raise Your Hand campaign is something that I started creating in 2008 with my first business. And with the help of John um, and our community, I've been perfecting the Raise Your Hand campaign, where we, are truly listening, non-transactional conversations, truly listening to our ideal client about what they need from us, not what we can give to them, but what they need from us. So blogging can be a burn. Another interesting one is cold email. And you guys have heard me talk about this. I've done a lot of work in the cold email space. Not only can cold email waste your time if you're not good at it, because there's a science and an art, but it can honestly hurt your domain reputation. And you would not be able to then email your colleague. So for all you out there who are building lists, great, good, at least you're not buying the list. But for all you who are building a list and sending out emails, first of all, if you're sending out an email, there should be no links, there should be no attachments, there should be no pictures. And you should not send it from your top level domain. What do I mean by your top level domain? Is the email address that you send from on a daily basis, or any of the email addresses in that domain. So not, your email address at whatever.com, not info at whatever.com, not Jimmy at, none. None. It's not worth the contract you might get, because people are probably marking your emails as spam. And if they're not marking them, there's somebody at the central office who is paid to mark those emails for them. And that could be hurting your domain reputation. So I hope you're not doing that. So all this to say, and John and I talked about this last week, is that these slow burn methods, they can also be success amplifiers. Because when you do conferences right, when you do social media right, when you do SEO right, when you do blogging right, when you do cold email right, it can all work, baby. Let's think about conferences first. Let's say, you've been lucky enough to be asked to speak at a conference. And first of all, are the people in the audience your ideal client? If they are, great. Second, have you spent the time really thinking about your LinkedIn profile? LinkedIn is not necessarily a place, let's be clear, where you're going to go from A to B, prospect to contract, in one outreach. But LinkedIn is a place where you can build out your own reputation. You can help other folks. You can join conversations. You can lead conversations. And so your profile needs to be a sales funnel. You got to have a great banner. You got to have a great profile picture. You got to have a great headline. Your headline, I help who using what method get which results. You absolutely need to have an about section and a featured section that reads more like a sales funnel than all your past accomplishments and awards. Those are irrelevant in this case. So you're speaking at this conference and it's the ideal client and you've got your profile set up. You've been doing a lot of listening. We teach that in our program. We've been doing a lot of listening in the Raise Your Hand campaign. So what you're saying to people is resonating. And because you've been doing a lot of listening, excuse me, you also have a wonderful signature solution, which means that you can clearly and confidently close for all of the people out there. The way that selling used to happen, I'm sounding old here, in the education space, we would sit down in a principal's office and I would meet with her and we'd talk for 55 minutes about the Washington Redskins because I was in DC, and then we'd spend 5 minutes closing the deal. That doesn't happen anymore. Hopefully you get to meet the principal in person. I firmly believe in that. But then you're going to have about 20 minutes probably in a video to be able to convey your benefits to them. And then it might be either go or no go at that point. And then it comes down to messaging as well. So your messaging needs to be on point because you're going to be speaking at that conference. So let's just recap here. You're at a conference. We were talking about it before as a slow burn method. We can talk about them as success amplifiers, and we do this for the folks in the Ed Sales Elevation Experience because of all the work we do. You went to conferences before, and now you go to them again, and they start to bring you a return on your investment because you've done the hard work that's necessary. So we've got a lot of resources there about slow burn methods that you can check out. John and I had a wonderful conversation last week, and you can watch that again. So I wanted to touch again on the slow burn methods, and then also, I'm just wanted to let everybody know if you had a long December and you had a joyful January, good. If your January is kind of getting off to a rough start, reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. Happy to be an ear and talk and help as much as I can. Absolutely, you can find me on LinkedIn. I met Harry last week. He joined our Thursday, and then we met last week. No, we met Monday. Maybe it was Tuesday. Can't remember. We met Tuesday, had a fantastic conversation. So we'll be back again next week with John. And then I will be leaving. It looks like I'm going to be at a conference in Monterrey, Mexico, speaking, which I'm really excited about. I'll talk more about that. And by the way, I wanted to give a plug here. If you do go to my LinkedIn, you will see that the applications for the Milk and Pen GSE competition opened yesterday. So I'm a huge believer in the folks at Penn's Graduate School of Education. Huge. I am a supporter. I am a judge. I am a sponsor. And so I encourage everybody in our network of educators here in the Ed Sales Elevation Experience to go to my LinkedIn if you can. I posted about the Milk and Pen GSE competition. See if it's a fit for you. I know John Gamba very well. If you have questions, if the Milk and Pen GSE competition is a fit for you, I know he will answer them. But I encourage everybody to take a look at it. It's a phenomenal group of people who are running that program, that competition. And you will get so much just by going through that journey of applying. And it is a journey, folks, right? It is a journey. So thank you for coming on this 30-minute journey with me. I hope it makes sense what I was talking about here in terms of a long December, January, really looking good. And then you get knocked down with a kind of a little mistake inside the team. But, it's okay. It's all good. We're headed completely in the right direction with our team, with our systems, with our messaging, with our attitude. Everything is right. And I just wanted to share that because we try and make it look all pretty and easy from the outside looking in, but we all know it ain't. So again, everybody, thank you for joining me. We'll restream this on Sunday morning. Make sure you guys head over and please check out my LinkedIn and take a look at applying to the Milk and Pen GSE competition. I am always here to help, anywhere from education to energy. If anything I can do, you let me know. Find me on LinkedIn. Thanks for joining. Have a great couple days, guys.